Welcome everybody to the first video lesson on the topic EU funding for cultural heritage and tourism. This is the video course that will be completing the textbook that you have been dealing with on the online platform, and which is also available for free to download within the EU funded project e-Cultures Managing Cultural Heritage in Tourism. I will be the speaker today and also the speaker for all videos related to the topic, and we will have a look now at the structure of today's video lessons. We will see on the topic relevant EU strategies and policies, which is a very important topic while talking about EU projects and EU application proposals and procedures. Let's have a look at the topic. Introduction, we will see why it is for such importance to know about the topic while wanting to apply for European funding, and then we will have a look at some strategies and policies. We will have a look at the EU 2020 strategy, which is the overarching EU strategy and the most important strategy until 2020 at European level, and then we will go through some sector-specific strategies, policies or communication from the European Commission. In the field of tourism, there is the communication Europe, the world's #1 tourist destination, a new political framework for tourism in Europe. There is a digital agenda for Europe on the topic digitalization, the improving and modernizing education communication from the European Commission on the topic higher education. Then we will have a look at the Eurobarometer, which are statistics that are made from EU bodies to point out some particular needs in one or the other sector, and then we will also have a look at some additional initiatives at the European level. Let's start to the topic. It is important to remember that the European Union has several transversal and cross-sectoral strategies. These set specific goals that have to be reached within some given years. These strategies or priorities are the results of agreement between the different institutions of the European Union that represent the EU citizens, the EU politic and the member states. While wanting to apply in a project in the field of tourism or cultural heritage, you should demonstrate how you help the EU reaching these goals. Hence, you have to prove and show that in the application that you are aware of these strategies and you contribute to them. This is a very important point while applying for European funding that many of your competitors do not know or do not take into account in the proposals. You have to point out what kind of help, of support you give the European Union reaching the goals the European Union set out in particular strategies or priorities. Remember, the EU is not funding a project because of itself, or to support a certain organization, or because the applicant being need for funding. The European Union is looking for service providers who are transporting and spreading the objectives set out in the program guidelines, and the European Union wants to achieve a specific target which might be related to a certain target group or social question, to economic development, ecology, scientific excellence, etc., in different fields. So they look for service provider helping them to implement and to reach goals and priorities set out. This is also called the relevance in the project. Here you see in this nice picture the interest of the European Union through strategies and priorities are here. The interest of the applicant organization are here, and with your project you should be in between. You should find a connection between your interest and the interest of the European Union and prove them in your project here. We can also see in this picture here, the EU policies are at this level outside. There is a EU program that helps the European Union implementing the EU policies. Then with your project, you should be here in the middle. You help the EU program reaching its goals, and then the outcomes and deliveries of the EU projects for the target group market are in the middle, in the center. Let's have a look at the first most important strategy at the European Union, which is the Europe 2020 strategy, Europe's growth strategy. This is the overarching strategy at the European level, and that set out goals in the field of education, of research, of employment, etc. And you should always refer to this strategy while wanting to apply for European funding. You have to have a look at the strategy, and then you have to check how you support actually the EU in reaching one of some of the goals set out in this strategy. And at some level, in some way, each project should, also if indirect, contribute to the EU and to reaching the goals set out in this strategy. The second important strategy is the communication. It's called Europe, the world #1 tourist destination, a new political framework for tourism in Europe that set out particular goals and objectives in the field of tourism. So while wanting to apply for a project in tourism, you should also have a look at this communication and see what's written there and how you can contribute with your project to reach the goals and objectives set out in this strategy related to boosting international tourism within the European Union. About transversal policies, there is the digital agenda for Europe. Of course, its names also gives us some hints what's about. It's about digitalization, and it's about digitalization in all aspects of the European Union life. So it can be in the field of education, in the field of tourism, in the field of scientific research. It's about digitalization with specific goals and objectives set out there. So while wanting to do project on the field of digitalization, for example, in the field of digitalization of museum visits in some particular European countries, you can refer to this strategy and look what's written there and how you contribute with your project in reaching one of or several of the goals set out here. If you do a project in the field of education, there is of course also strategies in the field of education, in particular improving and modernizing education with some specific goals set out there. So also in this case, if you do project in the field of education, you should refer to the goals and priorities set out here. Not only strategies and communication are there is also, as I mentioned during the beginning of this video lesson, there are Eurobarometer and consultations. Eurobarometer are statistics made from Eurostat offices that do surveys and found out different statistics in different fields. Here is an example of in the field of tourist destinations, night spent at tourist accommodation establishment by non-residents in 2016, and we see these nice stats. For example, Spain and Italy are the countries where non-EU residents spend the most nights, and here on the right side you have countries where the non-residents spend the less nights. For example, while doing a project for boosting tourism in some particular countries, let's say in Romania, here, and you also involve some organizations from Spain, you can point out that there will be a knowledge transfer from Spain that has the most nights spent from non-residents to Romania that has the less nights spent from non-residents. This is one example of some statistics in the field of tourism, and there are also several other statistics that you may take into account for explaining the needs that you're going to solve during your project. So have a look at that, also it is important. There are other initiatives. I give you here a screenshot about this in the field of business, of languages, etc., of studying, that you can refer to while wanting to apply to European projects. So let's have a conclusive remarks about what we have seen. You have to take your time for the research and to analyze the strategies and priorities at European level that may give you support for your project. It's called the relevance in the project. It is time consuming, but one of the most important steps to do while applying for European funding. Many applicants do not invest enough time, hence their application is not EU relevant. Even if the idea is a good one, they cannot explain which strategy do they support, which goal, etc. they support to reach with their project, and they do not get funding. So if you invest time in this application stage, you will have a comparative advantage with the others co-applicants. Thank you very much for your attention, and we will see ourselves in the coming lessons of the project e-Cultures Managing Cultural Heritage in Tourism.